Tenet. So Tenet's a new film starring Christopher Nolan. Well, it's written and directed by Christopher Nolan, but I always feel like Christopher Nolan movies are really Christopher Nolan's the star. So anyhow, it stars John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, and we saw the trailer, right? The trailer shows you that they're looking for bad guy Kenneth Branagh, and there's this ability to reverse time. It's called inversion, in which things go backwards through what we perceive as time, but it's in there. The trailer lied to us. It did. Which trailers, they're mouthpieces for movies. They're propaganda. It's kind of like Fox News for the right, CNN for the left, movie trailers for movies. They're there to convince you that this thing is going to be the greatest thing ever. So sometimes in movie trailers, they showcase something that really isn't front and center for a large section of the movie. And such is the case with Tenet. Tenet's essentially a spy movie. Like, consciously I'm watching the movie, I'm like, okay, so this is like Christopher Nolan does James Bond or any other spy movie. New guy gets recruited, there's a bad guy, and he has a super bad thing that can do a lot of damage to the world, so they gotta stop bad guy. This movie's 2.5 hours long. It's not like for 2.5 hours you're dealing with good guys and bad guys doing inversion, going backwards and forwards, and it's not, for the bulk of the movie, that's not the case. For the bulk of this movie, you gotta go into this movie being like, okay, it's a spy movie. And as a spy movie, it was fine for a spy movie. Bit convoluted in the beginning, like the setup of a movie, you know, it's establishing the world, the characters, character building. My head was spinning, and no, it's not because of inversion. Funny enough, like this movie has this high concept of something called inversion where things go backwards, and it's like Nolan took that. He was like, all right, I gotta make that accessible for people watching this movie, and he makes it very understandable. And then simple things like world building, character relations, he's like, I'm gonna make that so fucking complex. It's a tangled web of this person deals with that person, but we gotta get to that person, we gotta get to that person to get to that person, but to get to that person, I have to go through this. You gotta break into this place, so it kind of feels like a heist movie / spy movie, all in the name of getting to the bad guy. It is possible that the setup of this movie felt like a choppy, convoluted mess because there was supposed to be more information in there. Because it felt like you got the nuggets of setup and it was just moving fast, like it wanted to just move on. If I found out that this 2.5 hour long movie was supposed to be a 3.5 hour long movie, most of which was in the setup, I wouldn't be too surprised. The second half of this movie, that's where I really started loving it. The last act of this movie was amazing. And yeah, that's me saying I was watching this movie going, yeah, it's an enjoyable enough spy movie, to going, holy fuck, I just love this guy's imagination. And I do, I always appreciate that about Christopher Nolan. In a world where there's remakes and prequels and remakequels, Christopher Nolan constantly is like, I want to give something unique that makes them walk out of the movie theater feeling like they hadn't felt something like that before. And I reached that in this movie. It's the last half hour, to be honest. It's like I was of two minds with this movie. I can't think recently of a time where I was sitting there going, it's an enjoyable enough movie, to at a point being like, oh, that's fucking amazing. And I do want to touch on the sound mixing of this movie too, which I want to tread lightly on because it could have just been the movie theater I watched it in. Some drunk projectionist shows up like, hey, this is turn up the bass on this, and just fucks up all the sound. Just human beings work in the projection booths. However, I ran into this with Interstellar and the sneak peek of Dark Knight Rises. IMAX showed the first 5 minutes of Dark Knight Rises before Dark Knight Rises came out. And Bane's mask was, he sounded like Kenny from South Park. And so I guess Nolan remixed it for the movie that was coming out. So Nolan's known for having some people come out of movie theaters being like, the way that was mixed was strange. And I kind of ran into that a few times with this movie. Like sometimes you have sound effects in the background, you know, ambient noise, but it's overtaking some of the voices. Then you have some of the music coming on. And when they talk and they're giving dialogue, it kind of sounds like this. You know, you get to talk to them, throw you off of it. I feel like an old man, like, what did he say? Or maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just there. But if it's not the movie itself, let's not jump to that conclusion. I still say drunk projectionist. If for nothing else, when this movie comes out on Blu-ray, I want like 10 hours of making of, because the making of in this movie, I'm sure, is so fascinating. I want to know more about it. I want to know more of it. Like that hallway fight scene alone, it's wild. I don't know how they did it. I'd like to. I'm intrigued. I'm fascinated. So the big enemy in this movie isn't actually Kenneth Branagh. It's trailers. I just get bummed out when I think of what the trailer could have been. Like if it was just a Christopher Nolan film, like right there, we're going to see it anyway. And in the trailer, it was like, oh, this guy gets recruited, something called Tenet. This bad guy has a thing and it's a danger to the world. And it's like, oh, it's like Nolan's doing a James Bond-ish thing. All right, let's watch this Nolan thing. And then in the movie, for the first time, you see people starting to go backwards. My brain would have melted. But as it stands, the trailer overcooked it, showed too much, and just kind of compromised the experience. But in the end, by the end, I enjoyed it. It's like the average of this movie comes down to, yeah, enjoyed it. Has some problems in the setup, not gonna say it doesn't, but the second half is where it gets business. But if I bought this movie on Blu-ray, I'd probably just watch the second half. I'd watch the shit out of that second half, but the second half nonetheless. So all in all, I felt Tenet was a good time, no alcohol required. I do hope they make a sequel. And Nolan's not really known for sequels other than the Batman movies, but of the Christopher Nolan intellectual property, he doesn't make sequels. But I do hope he makes a sequel to Tenet. All right, so Tenet, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Or what's your favorite Christopher Nolan movie? Or you know what? Rank them. Have you ranked them before? Has the ranking, has it shuffled around as you've gotten older? Whatever it is, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.